Hey everyone, if you are enjoying these videos, go check out my website at www.apcsexamprep.com. I have information on boot camps and tutoring availability along with other AP Computer Science resources I think you'd enjoy. Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to change worlds on collision. And so we have our player that can move around, and then when we collide we will be able to go to a different world. So we have our different objects, actor objects in here. We want to create a new world. It's going to be our water world. And we're going to have our background be this blue. If you want to go to it and take a look at what it looks like, it would look like this. If you want to go back, I've saved this world so that these objects are already at those designated places. So we'd go into our player and probably want this in its own method for simplicity's and readability's purposes here. If we're going to change world, we would say if is touching water door dot class. That's going to be my portal or the object that's on the original world that's all white. And if I'm touching that, it's going to be a Greenfoot method. And I'm going to set my world, and it has a parameter of a world object. So I would pass in a new water world. Okay, and then you can copy this, make sure it's in the act method, and then you move around and you'd go into your water world. Now you can do that for any of your objects, but let's say we wanted our water world to also have our player, and it's our same player. So if this player, maybe they had int score equals 0, if is touching coin.class, we don't have the coin class, but we want to have it later, we would score plus plus and remove touching coin.class, and we would need to create a coin object for that to work, or a coin class. And so this ball can be our coin. So if we add that in, we'd run, and now our score goes from 0 to 1. So in order to access this in your My World, you'd have to have your player available throughout the whole class. You would have to have a public void act, and we will show our text score plus score. Well, how do we access our player score? We reference the object. You could also make score static, but we want to be able to have the option of holding on to this same player's actual score value as opposed to making it a class variable. Would be doing something a little bit different, but we'll put it in the middle at 300 for the X value, comma, and then the Y value can be right at like 50. And then you can copy this code, paste it, and now it'll be there. If we add in a coin, run, the score is 1. Now we want to see that score value move on to water world. So if we did that same code of show text, we don't have the player. Now many might think, oh, well, we could do the same thing. We could put new player, and then we could add object player at right in the middle, 300, 200, and you can see what will happen here. We add in a coin or two, we collect them, we move on. Now our score goes back to 0. The reason that is because in our water world, we're creating a brand new player separate from our my world's player. So how would we pass the value from this object from one world to the other, or even an int value or whatever you want to pass in? So the way you can do that is you actually change the constructor and say, hey, we're going to actually have a player that's going to be passed in. And so instead of having this value create a new player, we can call this, and we can have it be the same name, but actually for understanding, it might be better if this is just called P. So player P is going to be whatever's passed in from when we create a water world, and we create a water world. Well, within the player, we say set world to new water world. So what would be the value that would go in here? Well, we need to get the player. So there's a special keyword, this, that we can pass in. We could also pass in the score variable, which might be even easier. But either way, whichever one you want to do, you could either pass in score and set this to an int, then you would have access to score, or you can access everything from player by passing in this, and then you could say p.score. But then you might wonder, how do you get in the act method, how would you get, since this P is stored in the constructor, it's only visible to the constructor. So how would you pass it into the act method? Well, you could say, hey, actually player is going to equal P. And then now you can use player. You could have used player here and here. Now that player is equal to P, they're the same object here. So now we add in a couple coins. And this is great for some sort of inventory or something that you're changing worlds, but you want to keep some of the same values. Pass it in. Now our score is 5, and we hold on to that. And this is literally the same player that is from the other world. So if you want to go back to your my world, you could create a second constructor, because this is the original constructor. Just by default, it populates a world without any parameters. So you'd have to create a second constructor that actually passes in a player as well. And we could call it P, and we could just copy and paste the same information, but we'll use p.score, and we'll say player equals P in this world, and you want to always do that below the super. Super always has to come first. So now we would need a way to move to this other world. So we'd create a new actor, and then maybe this home, door, so you create a new player like this. So this would just be a new player object, just so you can honestly manipulate this world here, or you might have to Okay, so now you save the world and home door is in there. So then if is touching home door dot class Greenfoot dot set world to new my world. This again. Now you run it. You go to your new world. You pop back into this world. Okay. Maybe you don't have the coins. Maybe you leave the coins behind. So if you want to make sure those objects are permanently removed, you would need a lot more programming knowledge than I'm willing to go through in this specific tutorial. But in general, you could run it, collect them, leave, come back, and now they're gone. How that works, I'll show you the code real quick, is in your My World, you will have a static list, an array list of coins. Okay, and each one of these coins gets added in when you create your original world. Then they get added to a location in your prepare. You can add them to your own location, but I added them to random locations just for ease. And then when you are a player and you actually are touching a coin, you remove one of the values from the coin and it keeps removing it from the list. And so this allows for you to remove them, and when you leave and come back, they're still gone. But that's a little bit more advanced. If you need more help with that, just let me know and I can give you an individual lesson on how to do that. But that is it for changing world in Greenfoot.